Hello, everyone, and welcome once again to another episode of Lack of Focus, episode 16, part 2, the episode that was so good we had to do it twice. Well, we kind of ran long, actually, on the first half, so we are now into the second half. So if you're catching part 2, you missed out a whole bunch of stuff in episode 1, part 1 of this, so go back and check that one out. But in this one, we're going to go ahead into our main topic, which is going to include some very interesting rules as far as firing arcs, how those work, how that functions, and of course, we still have our challenge going up on what points changes will come out. So all of that's going to be coming up right after this. All right, we're back. In the main topic tonight, we're going to kind of rehash a little bit of what we did last week, where we did our guesses, our points bids, the over-under on how much things are going to go up. And we're going to try to get Sean's opinion on what he thinks on some of the upgrades that we were discussing. And then the primary, of course, is going to be talking about rules about firing arcs. So, Sean or Kris, do you want to give a quick rehash of the stuff that we discussed and where our thoughts are over the points?
Okay, so Sean wasn't here, so I'll catch you up. And anyone else who didn't listen to our last episode should go back and listen to it. It was good fun doing it. So what we did, we each picked 3 upgrades, two sort upgrades, and from hyperspace, 1 from extended, and then gave our opinions of if they would go up in cost or down in cost, and then chatted about them. And then the person who gets the most correct is the closest to being right. We're going to donate the money that the episode makes on Patreon to charity of the winner's choice. So me, Ed, and Chad have already done ours. So we wanted you to have the chance to pick a charity as well. FFG tweeted that the points update is going to happen on the 28th. So it'll be the episode we record on January 31st. The way we're going to work it out is if an X-Wing is the standard line. So if X-Wings go up by 1 point and Vader comes down by 5 points, Vader actually got 6 points cheaper in comparison to an X-Wing, if that makes sense. Yeah, so that's how we're going to judge how accurate we are.
But so for simplicity's sake, let me just go off of what you guys have already picked, because I haven't dove that deep into this game yet.
So if Chad was here as well, I would have got you to pick some cards as well. But seeing as Chad's not here, I don't want to catch Chad up next week and get his picks on yours. So I'm going to tell you 9 upgrades or 9 cards, and you say whether you think it's going to go up in points, down in points, and then by how many. Or you can have stay the same. Or no change. So Ed's picks were supernatural reflexes.
Oh, down 2.
Cheaper by 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
Whoa, I need some context behind that. Especially with Kylo out now, I need some context.
I just don't think Fantasy Flight thinks the way that we think. I think that they're looking at the big picture where Kylo is going to be costed high enough to where for you to have something like that, you're going to have to, you have to pay some points.
Yeah.
So there has to be give and take.
Yeah. So Y-Wings?
I think they'll stay the same. I mean, for me, I don't know. Stay the same.
My argument for that one, just to give you some context on my line of thinking, I thought that they would go down because it was the one ship that I just wasn't seeing. Yeah. I wasn't seeing enough of them. So I thought.
But the question I have for everybody here is, are you looking at the world in a 2-point world set of eyes? Are the hyperspace world of eyes or the extended world?
Hyperspace. I was specifically looking at hyperspace.
Yeah, this was his hyperspace picks. So I'll preface it as well. So this was those 2 were hyperspace picks. So I went down by 2. Ed went down by 2. Chad said stay the same for Y-Wings. For supernatural, we all said up by varying amounts. I think Ed said +2. No, yeah. I said +3, Chad said +5, and Ed said they were going to be like 20 points, so +8. Then we had for Ed's extended pick, he had the TIE Defender. Oh,
My beloved defender.
Oh, so we had 3. One of us said up, one of us said down, and one of us said stay the same for a defender.
Oof! Wow, that's a good one. I have to sit in that. I'm going to say down by 2.
Down by 2.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I mean,
what.
I could also see that one. I could see that staying the same also too. But down by 2 will be my official.
I said down by 6 points so you could run triple defender again.
And I'd be happy with that. I'd be happy to lose that one.
Yeah. Then we had Chad's picks. So Chad's first hyperspace pick was the TIE Striker. And again, we had all 3 options picked for the Striker. We had an up, a down, and a stay the same.
So say that again. Sorry.
The TIE Striker, Chad said up, Ed said down, I said it would stay the same.
I'm going to say stay the same.
Yeah, faith in me. Good job, Sean. We like you. Chad's second hyperspace card was Outmaneuver.
Okay.
Me and Ed agreed, and Chad had a different opinion. I won't tell you what they were, though.
Oh, man.
So, Outmaneuver is 6 points at the minute, I think.
Yeah, I know. I'm thinking. I'm going to say up 3.
Up 3. You and Chad agree. Me and Ed said no change.
So I'm going to go back on my supernatural reflexes because I was thinking of a different card.
Okay.
Real quick. I'm going to say up by 7.
Up by 7.
Ooh.
Okay, yeah. 19-point total.
Yeah.
Plus 7 for a 19-point supernatural. Okay.
Yeah, I could actually see that one being about a 4, but because of the cause and effect relationship.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay, so Chad's last card was an extended card, which was Palpatine. And all of us said the same answer with the same amount.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, let me. Ah, crap. I'm trying to think.
Palpatine is 13 points, I think.
Yeah. Oh man, it's a tough one for me.
Yeah. Palp's currently 13 points.
Yeah. I'm going to say up to 16, so plus 3.
You got the exact opposite answer to us. We all said down by 3.
Yeah.
Oh,
somebody's got to be opposite.
No, but this is how you win, Sean. You win by doubling down. Yeah. If you're right on that one, you're going to get it.
Yeah. Heck yeah.
Then my picks were Boba Fett for my first hyperspace card.
Okay.
We all agreed in the direction. We disagreed on the amount.
I'm going to say he'll go up.
We all still agree on a direction.
I'm looking at. I have to have context. So.
Yeah. Boba Fett is currently
80 currently.
Yeah. And if you compare that to something like...
I'm going to say he'll go up 6.
Up 6. Sean's got the biggest increase on Bubba. I said 2. Chad said 4. Ed said 5. So...
I like what you're thinking.
I really, really, truly think he is a very good Very meta-heavy ship.
There is a chance that I'm hoping it only goes up by 2, so I don't have to change my list. I mean, my choice might be fueled by hope and a prayer rather than logic.
Yeah, no, I understand that.
My second one was proton torpedoes. My second hyperspace card.
Wow.
Again, we all agreed on direction of this change.
Wow.
9-point proton
they're gonna go up.
We all still agree on the direction.
And I'm gonna say they're gonna go up 5.
Up 5. You are
Hold on. Let me think here real quick.
14-point proton torpedoes at 5, but plus 5.
I'm gonna go +3 because I don't think that Fantasy Flight has enough insight.
Plus 3.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've got the same as Ed on that one. You and Ed said +3.
Woo!
My last card, and it was my extended pick, was the Quad Jumper v Space Tug Tractor Array.
Yeah.
We all agreed on a direction on this one.
Oh man.
The context of this pick was that it is only 2 points more than a bad ship. So the Jackal Gunrunner is 28, and I was comparing it to the what's it called? The Z95. The cheapest Z95 is 24, so it's 4 points more, and it gives you an extra hit point and a space tug tractor array and an arguably better dial.
Yeah.
And has a crew swap.
Yeah, that's scary. I'm gonna say 7 up.
Up by 7.
Yeah.
So we all said up. I think I said 3. Chad said up by 2, and Ed said up by 4. Oh. There you go. So you're now in the game. So for everyone who's listening, we will be announcing who won on the show that will come out on February the 5th, because we should have had points by then. And that's good, because that's the first episode we'll be releasing in February, which means that more of that will get more Patreon money for people who only back one episode. Exactly. And that'll all get donated to a charity of a winner's choice. So if you can go and subscribe to our Patreon, and then even if after that show you just unsubscribe, that'll be awesome, and we'll give all of that money. And it's the money that Patreon says we get for the episode, which is actually more than the amount they give us, because we'll be donating the amount before Patreon take their cut as well. So just something fun we thought we could do, and we'll probably do this for every points change that FFG does.
Have we already picked our charities, or is that something?
I've picked one. We've not announced them, so it's just. So we don't want feels bad man moments. So whoever wins, they can talk about their charity when they do it.
Yeah. All right. So now, tell me about firing arcs there, Kris. You said that you've answered quite a few questions over the last few days about firing arcs specifically. So you really wanted to nail this down. Final answer. This is how you rule these.
It's been since questions with Conquer Dawn, questions with Dengaru's ability, questions with Fearless, Resistance A-Wings were a new contender with Outmaneuver. People trying to do it out of the back, and it's people are complaining that the card's written badly for what people's primary weapons are and everything like that, and it's not. It's just that people are trying to play X-Wing 1.0 when that isn't a game anymore. So I wanted to take some time and go into firing arcs, what they are, how attacks work, and try and clear it up once and for all. And, this can be a reference point for people. So the preface I always have now is that there's symbols, and when you read the card, don't try and interpret what the symbol is. Just replace it with the words for what it says. So if it is the symbol, so in fact, I'm going to read it. It starts on page 3 of the rules reference guide.
It's also in the FAQ, also cleared out.
Yeah, it's so on page 3, it has arc. An arc is an area formed between the lines created by extending hash marks or arc lines printed on a ship token to range 3. A ship is in an arc if any part of its base is in that arc. Arcs are measured beyond the base of a ship, the portion of any object, blah, blah. So it's, and then it talks about the different types of arcs. Okay, so this is what's going to blow everybody's mind. So there are now 4 types of arcs. There is a standard arc, and there are 3 types of standard arcs. There is a front arc. This arc projects in the same direction as a ship is facing. Most ships have a primary front arc weapon. See what I did there? In the rules reference, it has a symbol, but it's primary front arc weapon. If it was what people try and interpret it as, that would say a primary front arc weapon, which is where people confuse themselves. And then it goes on. Then there are side arcs. These are the arcs on the left or right side of the ships, and a rear arc. The arc points in the opposite direction the ship is facing. Some ships have a primary rear arc weapon. So a fire spray, for example. So that's talking about the arcs printed on your ship. Those are your standard arcs. Every ship has them. They are always there. Then there is a bullseye.
Didn't we find one ship that didn't have a primary arc printed on the card?
No, it still has a primary arc.
It's just not printed.
It doesn't have a primary arc, a primary front arc weapon.
Okay, that's what it was.
Yeah,
that's what it was.
Yeah. So then bullseye arcs. Inside of a front arc, each ship has a bullseye arc. It's the line it's found inside it. Blah blah blah. Then we have full arcs. Those are the center line forwards and the center line back. The biggest one would be the YV666 and the Ozotuk. Use those for shooting. Everyone uses them for reinforce, or whether you're judged to be in the front or the back or behind the ship. Then we have turret arcs. So, unlike other arcs, some weapons use turret arc indicators to select arcs. There are 2 types of turret arc indicators, single turret and double turrets. So, the bow tie or the pointy thing. It's also worth noting that the double arc, the double turret consists of 2 single turrets, 1 in each direction at 180 degrees. The turret arc indicator points towards one of the ship's 4 standard arcs. The standard arc that the turret arc indicator is pointing towards is a turret arc in addition to still being a standard arc. Whilst the ship performs a turret arc attack, it can attack a target that is in its turret arc. Arc. That's how it's written. Because it's a turret arc that you are in. You need to replace the symbol with the words. So if you go into a rules reference, read these words, look at these symbols and how they're referenced, that clears up every card, and then it's super easy to play 2.0. You just need to read this page and understand it. This is page 4, by the way.
Use that for reference.
So then we have firing arcs as a separate header. A ship's firing arc. So all of that is just talking about arcs. That's not talking about shooting. Those arcs all exist outside of being attacks. So a ship can have a front arc. An X-wing has a rear arc. You can be in an X-wing's rear arc. Yeah, unless it's referenced, it's irrelevant. So then we have firing arcs. A ship's firing arcs include all shared arcs on the ship's token plus all turret arcs, if any. If a ship upgrade card gives a ship a turret arc or primary weapon with a specified arc, those arcs are also firing arcs. Okay.
So far, so good.
Yeah, good. Then we get to scroll into it's page 20 something, I think, for the actual weapons. Primary, where's it gone? I should have just opened up 2 pages. Fun times. Best radio ever.
Totally professional podcasting right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Then, sorry, on page 14, we have primary weapon comes up. So each ship has up to 2 primary weapons listed on its ship card. Each primary weapon has an arc symbol and a red attack value. During a ship's attack, it can choose a weapon to perform an attack with. It performs an attack using a primary weapon. The attack value indicates how many attack dice it rolls during the roll attack dice step, and the arc symbol indicates where a defender must be located. A primary weapon, so this is bullet pointed, a primary weapon requires the attack range to be 1 to 3 and has no cost by default. Since primary weapons are not special weapons, they do not benefit from abilities that trigger when performing a special attack. Okay? So the reason this is important is because this tells you how the game actually works now for what a primary weapon is. So there is no primary attack. There is no auxiliary attack. There's no such thing as a primary attack anymore. A ship has got primary weapons, which could be a turret. A turret can be a ship's primary weapon. A turret can be a ship's primary attack. All of that comes into play now when we start looking at cards. So the biggest one at the moment that's been pissing me the hell off. Sorry, Chad, you were just the last person in a long line of people. Was outmaneuver. So, and my response has been lots and lots of times, what does the card say?
RTFC.
Yeah. No. And so I've been saying it a lot in the last few days, actually. So we had the tournament, obviously, and I streamed X-Wing for 4 hours. So in the last 2 days, I've said this a lot. I'm not.
And don't forget, Chad IM'd you and was like, "Hey, what does this mean again?"
No,
this is why it was really interesting that you brought this up.
No, and I was going to talk about this before Chad IM'd me because people were assuming I was being a dick when I said, "What does the card say?" And it's literally, if you read it, it's all there. So while you perform a front arc attack, if you are not in the defender's firing arc, the defender rolls 1 fewer defense die. Okay. So
it just says firing arc.
Yeah. If you are not in the defender's firing arc, the defender rolls 1 fewer defense die. What's the firing arc? Just
any of the 4 firing arcs that you listed.
Yeah.
Which could be a primary, could be a bow tie, could be a turret, could be an auxiliary arc from the rear. Like all of those are, or the full half arcs, rear arcs.
Yep. So what's a firing arc? So we go back, we find what a firing arc is. Fun time, see arcs.
Page
I'm going to
3.
scroll back to page 3. It's like, I've just spent the last 10 minutes talking about what it does, but we're gonna go through it again, just so we can be sure. A ship's firing arcs include all shaded areas on a ship token plus any turret arcs, if any. So, if a ship can shoot you, you're in its firing arc.
Correct.
So, if you've got a Falcon, you can be in front of it and still outmaneuvering it.
Yes, because you're not in a firing arc.
Yeah. Okay. But if that Falcon has got a missile,
it now has.
So no, no. So it doesn't, because I'm just telling that I shouldn't have said that, because that's going to make it more confusing. Now people are going to clip that bit and ruin me. So a ship's firing arcs include all shaded areas on the ship token plus any turret arcs. So if it's got a missile, doesn't matter, because it doesn't. Does it have a shaded firing arc? If it's got a shaded firing arc, you're in it. If its bow tie is pointing at you, you're in a firing arc. Okay. Back to outmaneuver. So it's twofold. While you perform a front arc attack, so we'll cover. We've done this last about first. We could the second caveat first, but the first part of outmaneuver is while you perform a front arc attack. So what's a front arc attack? Is it an attack that originates from your front arc, or is it an attack that it uses that symbol? Yeah. So this is fun.
This is.
Oh dear. If you, so I hate this game so much. A front arc attack is what we were talking about when it says it references on the card what an attack is. So it's got two pieces. Each type of attack has got two pieces of information normally. If it's a special attack, it's got the arc of the attack that it uses, like a front arc attack, and the range. If it's a primary attack, then it is what's printed on the ship card.
And assumed to be range 1 to 3.
Yeah. So a concussion missile is a front arc attack. A proton rocket is not a front arc attack. The Falcon firing its bow tie out of its front arc is not a front arc attack. Okay.
Gotcha.
So an A-wing, a resistance A-wing, does not have a front arc attack with its primary weapon. It can never trigger outmaneuver unless you give it a missile.
Huh.
Okay?
Huh.
A resistance A-wing can never trigger outmaneuver.
Because it is a turreted attack and not a primary firing arc.
So it's a primary weapon attacking out of the ship's front arc. I'm going to have to make sure I've got this right now, because
now you've gotten yourself confused.
Yeah. Okay, just going to double check. I'm going to edit this out anyway. It's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So. Yeah. So this bit is from page 5, where we're looking at the actual attacks. It references attack arc. So during an attack, the attack arc is the arc that corresponds to a weapon the attacker is using. Okay. So remember when we spoke about arcs, there are 4 different types of arcs. So the attack arc of a resistance A-wing firing its primary weapon is a turreted arc.
Correct.
Is that a front arc attack?
No. Because it's a turreted arc.
Okay.
I could see how people could mistake that one though, because I mean they would see they see the front arc printed on the card.
Yeah.
The A-wing's turret is pointed towards the front. It is its primary firing arc, pointing in that direction.
No. It doesn't have a primary firing arc. It has
a turret. Yeah.
You're muted, Sean. Sean, you're muted.
Okay, now I want to see this. Hold on.
How the hell I get muted? Okay, so
I was wondering when you were going to chime in.
Yeah, it was kind of weird. So the problem with it is, doesn't come from the ship. It doesn't come from the card. It comes from the app, and allowing outmaneuver to be picked for ships that it can't be used on.
It can be used on it. You can, if you take a concussion missile, you can outmaneuver people for days.
But then there should be conditional.
Yeah.
You know, until you take the concussion missile, outmaneuver isn't available. That's the way that it should exist as far as those types of ships.
But so it's not. I'm using outmaneuver as the latest example in this combination.
I fully understand that, but I mean it explicitly states on outmaneuver that it's a front arc attack.
Yeah. if it said, so the way a resistance, the way this would have to be worded, barring an FAQ or anything like that, the way this would have to be worded for 2.0, because remember, the reason people assume this works is because in 1.0, every ship had a shaded front arc.
Right. No, I agree.
While you perform, so the way it would have to be worded would, while you perform an attack from your front arc.
Yeah.
Because you can attack with a turret arc from your front arc.
Right.
See, this is it's clear as crystal. So I'm looking at the resistance cards. They're the only thing in red is a turreted arc. When I look at outmaneuvered, it shows a primary arc.
Yeah.
Like it should. If you look at the two cards, they're not even the same symbols.
No, what
if you go back to any like the T70, it's got a primary fire. Okay, so now I see where you're going. I can understand where there could potentially be some hang up on that, but okay, now I get it. Now I see where the problems are coming in.
Yeah. So I'm gonna just go through it again just to make sure. So there's multiple areas of arcs. There's standard arcs, which is front, sides, and rear. The front arc has that specific symbol, which outmaneuver references. For something to be considered a front arc attack, it is, where are we again? During an attack, the attack arc is the arc that corresponds to a weapon the attacker is using. So during the attack arc never references the physical location of the two ships.
I get that. On an A-wing, though, the problem is that it's putting those symbols on the card for the A-wing. It's putting the front and rear, even though they don't call them primary, or they don't call them. Yeah,
it does because it says that they can. So
you can only fire out of your front and back.
Yeah, it says that. So you can only rotate your turreted arc to your front arc or your rear arc.
Right, but I can understand the confusion because now they're seeing it on the card.
Yeah. That's why we're doing this service. I also understand the confusion, but that's why I'm saying it's about how you read the cards, and you need to not look at what the symbol is. You need to translate that symbol into what it stands for.
Right.
So in page 4, under standard arcs, it says 1 front arc in words, and then shows you what that symbol is. So if you use written English, that then means that this symbol can be used as shorthand for front arc.
Mm-hmm.
So that symbol no longer ever means front arc attack.
Right.
It only ever means front arc. So that's why the actual outmaneuver card says perform a front arc symbol, which is shorthand for front arc, and then attack the word. And that's where people are falling down. They're using the 1.0 logic of that symbol in 1.0 used to mean a front arc attack.
Right.
It doesn't. It just means front arc now.
So it's interesting you bring the.
So if you have cluster missiles, outmaneuver would be worthwhile.
Yeah. Well, arguably, it would be more worthwhile.
You get what I'm saying?
Yes.
So it's interesting. I had mentioned the ship that doesn't have a firing arc printed on it. I'm looking at the Resistance A-wing. It does not have a firing arc printed on it.
Right.
Yeah.
If you look at the base, there is nothing shaded in orange to indicate that it has a firing arc in any direction. The only thing that it has
it has the 4 standard arcs that every ship has.
Right.
Yes.
But those are just
when you look at the weapon, so if you go to the missile or torpedo that says you have to fire it out of the front, then that's what gives outmaneuver the permission to be able to be used.
Yeah.
Because on the torpedo cards, it shows the front arc. That's how that weapon is fired. When you look at the ship itself and its weapon, it can only fire front and back, but there's no marked arc.
Yeah.
Wait. What was the scum ship that's got the 180?
The YV666.
YV666.
So the YV666 does not have a front arc attack. Right. It has a full arc attack.
It has a 180 attack.
Yeah. They're called full arcs now, but yeah, it has a full arc attack. So now I'm just trying to get to the FAQ and errata to make sure that arcs. Okay.
So wait, so under
Can
the
a ship that only uses a turret or a full arc attack use effects that require a ship to perform a front arc attack, i.e. fearless or outmaneuver? No. Note the differences between the requirement. While you perform, so this talks about fearlessness. Oh, fearless. I always say I always add the 1.0 of it. So this is actually really well done by FFG. So while you perform a front arc symbol primary attack, that's fearless. Okay, so we know what a primary attack is now. It is either a front arc attack or an. So a primary attack is the attack printed on the ship's card, which can be either a front arc, a full arc, a rear arc, or a turret arc. All of those are primary attacks. This one is specifically referencing a front arc primary attack. So that's the only way to trigger fearless, is using the attack printed on your ship that is a front arc primary attack. Okay? And then it talks about punishing one. While you perform a primary attack, so that's any of those 4 attacks that I just said: front arc primary, rear arc primary, full arc primary, turreted arc primary. When you are performing any of those attacks, if the defender is in your front arc, punishing one triggers. Okay. So the way I teach people to play is that you need to first understand the 3 symbols. There's the 90-degree quadrant: front, side, left, right, rear. If it says the front one, you replace it with front arc, rear arc, left arc, right arc. Normally it has both of them, because I don't think there's anything that references it as an individual side arcs yet, but we'll see. There's design space there. You replace it with those words. So it would be front arc, side arc, rear arc. You replace it with the words. If it's a 180, you replace it with full arc. If it is the turret symbol, whether it is a single or a double, you replace it with turret arc. As long as you replace that symbol with those words and read the card, X-Wing is the easiest game you will ever play.
So for clarity, the YV666, like the A-Wing, could never proc outmaneuver.
Correct. Unless it used a missile.
Unless it used a missile. Yeah, we'll get into the exceptions. Yeah. But that also would mean that the Falcon would never trigger outmaneuver because it doesn't have that fire.
Yep.
Whoa.
It's easy. Simples.
So I could totally see someone coming brand new into the game, picking this up, saying, well, that's not what the card says. The card says it's got to be this. And
So this is where you're wrong, Ed. Someone coming brand new to a game would read the rulebook.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
With no assumptions, and then they go, what are you all doing? Outmaneuver doesn't work on this shit.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like, someone new would look at the card and outmaneuver and says, you don't have this attack. Yeah. That doesn't trigger.
Yeah.
But it's our old 1.0 mentality that says, well, of course it does. It's print. It's right here. It has that attack because it's firing out the front arc.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. You're right. This did bend my brain a little.
So between this and solitary upgrades, it's been a learning day.
Yeah, it has been on how that functions. So that is really fascinating.
So I hope I wasn't too preachy or harsh in that. I'm just trying to...
No. I think you had to get to that level of granularity to kind of really read the definition of the card. I mean, again, it goes back, when you look at that card, it literally flat out tells you which one you can and cannot do.
If you ignore that there is a symbol there and read what that symbol means in X-Wing 2.0, it could not be more simple.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's a difference between wording and symbolism.
Yeah.
You know, and understanding your symbolism to what the word is, that's the most important part.
I think that you're bang on, Sean. People don't understand those symbols because they just assume they already know because they've been playing X-Wing for years.
And chances are there's a lot of people who haven't read the new rules to the game. You know, or if they have, it's that.
It's just skim reading it. It's page 4. If you sit down, page 4 of a rules reference guide, it could not be clearer. It lays out the 4 different types of arcs: standard, bullseye, full, and turret. It shows you which symbols mean each of those arcs.
Yep.
And if you understand that, reading the cards comes a lot easier. And just read the card. What does the card say?
And that is the key piece right there: is read the card, read the rules, understand the rules, play the game.
Yeah. And that's me. I'm done. I'm out for main topic. I'm done.
I'll melt your brain and then I'll leave. All right, no, that was fascinating. Any other examples? I know outmaneuver is obviously one of the primary ones, but there's got to be a handful of other ones where that's got to come up with.
Outmaneuver, fearless, certain pilot abilities.
You mentioned Concord Dawn too.
So the number of people. So Concord Dawn is.
I'm looking.
I've got it here. I've got my my worlds card. Oh, fancy. So it's Concordia face off. While you defend, if the attack range is 1 and you are in the attacker's front arc, change 1 result to an evade result. So this is different. This always triggers if you're in the attacker's front arc. You can fire at me with a turret. You can fire at me with a full arc. You can fire at me with a side arc if you like, as long as I'm in your front arc.
So I could see where the confusion comes in because it's the same symbol.
It's not. Well, sorry, it is. But what does that symbol mean?
Front arc.
Yeah. Does it mean a front arc attack? No, it just means front arc.
Right.
So if I'm in your front arc,
nor does it mean primary attack.
Yeah. No.
And that's where I think the confusion ultimately lies.
Yeah.
Is everybody still thinks the front arc on every ship is still a primary attack.
Yeah. No.
And it's not. It's just a front arc.
Yeah.
How you attack in this game, the attacking rules changed in the game.
Yeah. So
they changed a lot, actually.
without being too facetious, the way I tell people to read Fang Fighters is if you think how would this card be more cheating, that is a correct way to read it. Concordia always triggers effectively.
Well, because so I've played games where people used Fen, and it's turreted attack out of the left arc, the game that I'm thinking of off the top of my head, and they triggered it.
Yeah, because it was in the front arc as well. Because you ride that line.
No, it was in the left arc, but because it was a primary weapon.
That's where they're wrong.
Right? They're wrong. That doesn't trigger.
Yeah, they are wrong.
So if the attack was coming from the left arc, but you were still slightly inside the front arc,
right?
It would still trigger.
To make it abundantly clear, it was.
The key piece here, Ed, is this: front arc exists, right? So this is your front arc.
Yeah.
It can trigger still as long as you're within that front arc. You may be a shot coming, like Kris was saying, out of the left, because you can be in 2 arcs at one time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so in the example that I'm thinking of, Fen was in the full left arc.
So when you read Concordia Face Off, what you should do, I'm defending, check. Is it range 1? Check. Am I in the attacker's front arc? No. Oh, well, I'm fucking dead then, aren't I? Sucks to be me.
Right. Yeah, it doesn't trigger. I mean, and that's the thing, is that people keep calling that the primary attack.
Yeah.
Primary. No, it's not that anymore. It's just like Kris said, it's now front, side, and back.
Yeah.
And then you have quadrants. Now, and you have the quadrants in those different arcs too. Quadrant in the front arc is a bullseye arc. Quadrant on the side is the split down the middle of those arcs. And then you have a rear arc, which can be a primary arc for a primary attack, but it's still a rear arc.
Yeah.
It's not a front arc.
Yeah, because I could see a ship with a primary rear arc.
Fire sprays can outmaneuver trigger if you're firing out of the back of a fire spray.
Outmaneuver. So I need to read. What's the card say? So
I'm asking. This is kind of that. I already know the answer, but this is the question that needs to be asked.
If I've got a fire spray and it has outmaneuver equipped, so while performing a front arc attack, if you are not in the defender's firing arc, the defender rolls 1 fewer defense die. So I'm not performing a front arc attack, so it doesn't matter.
It's automatically eliminated.
Yeah.
Because it's not in the front arc.
Yeah.
It may be in a primary arc.
Yeah, it might be. It's an arced attack, but every attack's an arced attack. Even a turret attack is an arced attack because it comes from a turret arc.
But it's not out the front.
Okay, wait.
So a turret, remember, a turret isn't a turret, it's a turret arc.
So outmaneuver states front arc.
Yeah.
Okay, the symbol on it states front arc.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you're behind a fire spray with outmaneuver triggers because you're not in the front arc.
No. This is the fire spray using outmaneuver.
Oh, okay. I see where we're going.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But a lot of people will think that that front arc still is primary attack.
Yeah, because it's got the arc symbol, they're taking that to mean any arc symbol. It doesn't. It means front arc because that's what that symbol means.
Right. And that's the key piece to all of this is that understand the game attack is about arcs now.
Yeah.
So get down to it. It's all about arcs. So can you be in the side and front arc of a ship at the same time? Yes. Okay. So if it's a turreted ship, can it use outmaneuver if you are in both of those arcs?
It depends. Is it a turret? So
hold on. So does a turret have a primary front arc attack?
No.
Then can you use outmaneuver?
No.
Okay. Now, can you use outmaneuver on a turreted ship if it has a missile or a torpedo?
Yes, because that is a primary. Well, that's a front arc.
But then you would also have to
remember outmaneuver doesn't reference primary.
Right. I which is why I corrected myself.
Yeah. But here's my point though, is that now you're in the left and now you're in the front. If you shoot the torpedo, can you shoot it out the side?
Yeah, so
the specific states on the part it comes out the front.
Wait.
Wait the thing you need to remember now is if we're going to talk about torpedoes, we're now talking about special attacks.
Yes.
Yeah. So a special attack doesn't originate from the ship.
Correct.
It originates from the upgrade card that gives you access to that special attack.
Yep.
So what symbol is on the upgrade card of a torpedo?
The front arc.
Front arc. I'm looking at it now. Yeah. Except for one, the proton rockets.
Yeah. So the ship isn't doing the attack. The card itself is doing the attack.
Right. So it overrides. It overrides the ship's arc. Yeah.
The only upgrade that gives you a primary arc is Moldy Crow.
Yeah.
So I've done myself there. The only upgrade that gives you a primary weapon is Moldy Crow. Because what does the card say? Gain a front arc primary weapon. Who fucking knew?
Yeah.
All right, so
I'm outmaneuver with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it gives you a front arc. It's a defined front arc.
Yep.
So ships, so upgrades, so EPTs or whatever that has a symbol for front arc means you have to have a front arc.
Sorry.
The rear arc doesn't matter.
So you need to wind that back a little bit, Sean.
Okay.
the symbol only ever means front arc. So whatever upgrade it's on, it only ever means front arc. So you then have to look at the preceding word and the following word. Because the preceding word could be a primary front arc attack.
I agree. Yeah.
Or it could be a primary. So it could be a front arc attack. Or it could be a front arc special attack. It could be. You could have in the future. You could have a card that says, when performing a turret attack from your front arc, gain that. Like Ray and stuff like that, where you.
But in outmaneuver itself, in cards that are like outmaneuver that specifically have a symbol that states front arc. That means front arc means front arc. It means you have to have access to your front arc. Access is given by the symbols either painted on the ship on the token itself, or from something else that gives it a front arc. If it is not, if it's the swirly or the curly Q or whatever you call it, the circular turret, there is no front arc as far as weapons go.
Yeah, I think we've beaten this one to death now. I think we're.
Hold on, I've got one more. I've got one more.
Go on.
I've got one more. So, I'm just getting to it. I want to make sure that I'm reading this correctly to make sure I've got this correct. So when I am using wedge without maneuver,
you're doing the game wrong.
When you perform an attack, the defender rolls 1 for your defenses. Okay, so that doesn't say arc at all.
Nope.
I thought that it did.
Nope.
So if wedge is performing an outmaneuvered or performing an attack at the rear of a fire spray, outmaneuver procs because it is not the front arc it is in, even though it is in the rear arc.
No. What does outmaneuver say?
Outmaneuver says front arc.
So, but for wedge's attack, what's the second part of outmaneuver say?
If you're not in the defender's firing arc. Why? Okay. Gotcha.
So can that defender shoot you?
Yes. Okay. All right. I see what you're saying now.
So fire spray on the flip side of it is one that, because it has two front or firing.
So
you're still in a firing arc.
Okay, so firing arc's any firing arc.
So do it the way that Kris said. You do it by you walk it down like it's a list and you're checking them all.
Yeah.
Okay. So he's in your front firing arc, so you could. Part of that's can you fire it if you're in a ship's firing arc?
So the best example for defending against outmaneuver is the Resistance Bomber, the Star Fortress, because that has a primary. It has a front arc primary weapon, and it has a turret arc primary. So that's a double bow tie. It has a 3 dice primary out of the front and a double bow tie 2 dice attack. So if a bow tie is pointing left right, the only way to trigger outmaneuver against that ship is to be behind it.
Okay. And behind it, not in either side arc.
Yeah.
So you have to literally be right behind it.
Yeah.
Like up its butt, and
you have to be wholly within its rear arc.
Yes, its rear arc.
Completely
which is very, very difficult to do.
Yeah.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
That's gonna bring up. I could see that.
Oh yeah.
It's so many arguments.
But here's the interesting thing: if people would just read it and read the damn rules, there wouldn't be arguments. There'd be interpretation differences, but you wouldn't have the full blown argument.
Yeah. And when people say what's the card say, most of the time I'm asking because I don't fucking know.
Right.
But when you read it and answer your own question, it's funny that.
Right. I mean, when I TO'd events, the first thing when someone would call a judge and it was about a ruling, my first question to him was, can this be sorted out at the table? Can you read the cards to each other and figure this out? If not, then I'll step in, but then that changes the whole course of your game because now you have an outside ruling. And a lot of times when I'm making rulings, as I'm making them, I'm actually reading the card to the people. And I think probably 70% of the time they figured it out just because somebody else read the card and they
didn't read it. Yeah.
Yeah, they themselves they read what they thought they saw.
Yeah.
or they read what they needed to know, but they didn't read the whole thing.
Yeah.
And most of the time, as I'm reading a card, they figure it out, and I turn around and walk away.
Yeah.
And it's because people, you know, it's just like Magic. It's just like any other game. There's a lot of printed words on these cards, and there's a lot of cards out there, and there's a lot of interactions from card to card, and a lot of people presume. I mean, we're, you know, the human species, we presume, you know, most of our day, we presume that the car is going to start. We presume, you know, you leave work at a certain time because you presume the car is going to start. Well, that day that card doesn't start, well, now it's a presumption that was bad. And we do it with everything we do. You presume dinner's going to be ready. You presume, and that's the problem with the game itself. There's a lot of words on these cards. I like the way that 2.0 represents these words, though, because it actually replaced them with things that the human brain actually understands more, which is the symbols.
Yeah.
And we actually get the symbols quicker, better, and it's not a word, so there's no trigger. You don't have to fire thousands of synapses to figure that out.
The only problem comes is when you don't interpret that symbol, because people keep saying, pardon me, people keep saying, I've seen it loads of times on Facebook when I've been answering this question, it's confusing because FFG used that symbol to represent multiple things. No.
It's one
that
thing.
symbol only ever means front arc. Ever.
Right.
The time it means front arc attack is when it says the word attack after the front arc symbol. That symbol never ever means front arc attack.
Right.
Because primary front arc doesn't exist in the game anymore.
Yes.
You got it. And that's the thing is that you have an entire community out there that's presuming something on. You know, I once asked this. I was running a tournament, and I asked this every time. I'd walk up to tables and ask them, "Have you ever read the rule book to this game?" And I can't remember. You know, I can't give you a percentage, but there were a lot of people that told me, "No, I learned it from a friend."
I've not read the rule book.
Yeah,
I have.
I've read it extensively.
I've not read it cover to cover. Like, I couldn't tell you.
Sorry,
all of the
I've read 1.0 cover to cover.
Yeah,
and
no,
that's
I had as well.
So in 2016 Adepticon, when Dengar came out, you know, that was the thing about Dengar was if Dengar dies, he dies. You know, the moment that you put that last damage card on a ship, it's done. So if a pilot skill 8 ship kills it, it doesn't get the fire back. It doesn't get the shot back. That was the original ruling that was on it. And it pissed a lot of people off. But that's the ruling because simultaneous fire rule didn't go into effect. It wasn't a pilot skill 9 killing a pilot skill 9. It was another pilot skill killing that ship. So if it was a pilot skill 10, pilot skill 8, simultaneous fire rule doesn't exist. So at that tournament, that's what I fought because I made it plain and clear. It's written in the rules that as soon as a ship takes the damage, it is removed from the table. That's the end of that ship, unless simultaneous fire came in. And then they changed the rule so that Dengar could do Dengar things because everybody was complaining.
Well, it's one extra shot, it doesn't matter. And it's not even that because that game doesn't exist anymore.
Right. But you get what I'm saying.
No.
People never read the actual rules, you know, to the game. It's just like this. It's just like in the old rules. I haven't read it in the new ones because I haven't really gone through the rules yet. But did you know that when you took a focus action, you're supposed to state that you took a focus action? And the moment that you state it, you're committed to that action. You weren't able to pull it back and say, no, let's boost. It's the same thing with boost.
Yeah, it's that once you've declared your action, theoretically,
you place the token next to the ship.
Yeah.
And you declare it. You declare actions. That's why if you've ever played against me, everywhere when I play the game.
Sorry, Sean. I just have pictures of Michael Scott declaring bankruptcy in the office.
Yeah.
I declare bankruptcy. I don't think that's how it works.
But the funny thing is, though, is that when I brought that up to the open community, there were people who were bitching and moaning about it.
Oh, the people who just flip all of the dials and do what they want, and take all your actions at the same time.
Right.
It's all well and good until you don't get away with it, and then you're in the wrong. So the only thing a judge can't rule on intent; it can only rule on the rules. So
right. And that's the way that I ruled X-Wing. It's just like somebody who says, you're going to because Dash is a great example. Dash, original ability, you were supposed to declare that.
Yes.
Every single time. And then it got to the point where people would say, I'm using Dash's ability unless I state otherwise. Wrong. You're actually wrong at that point. Because it's specifically now, once again, if you're, I get it. It's easier that way. Why are you using Dash if you're not using?
No, for me, I don't disagree with your ruling on it. The reason why I would actively tell people to declare that at the start of a game is because you have then declared that Dash's ability is always going to be in use.
And that's actually what I started saying later on. Is if you're gonna blanket this stuff in, you need to declare it at the beginning of your game.
Yeah.
And then it's out there. Then the world knows that, your opponent knows. What pisses me off, though, in that is when the opponent would say, come back later on in the game and try to say, well, he didn't declare that at a critical point when the game was on the line.
Of course, when they're about to lose. It's usually when that kind of stuff
comes up. Ultimately, and I would ask, did you declare it at the start of the game? No. Well, it's not on then.
And it's not on then. Right. That's exactly what I would say. That's how I ruled it. Because there's just pieces to the game. The game is so complicated. The game got so complicated. And especially at the point when Dash came into the game, that you had to start laying down rules judgment. But then I was in tournaments where it was just nobody really had a concept of that. It was just automatically assumed. And then when somebody would get pissed off because that happened, then people would be freaking out, especially locals. That's why when I play the game, when I decide what action I'm going to take, I state it. I don't just throw a cardboard chip down and then put my finger on it like I'm playing chess.
I've totally seen that.
Yeah, I've actually
absolutely seen that.
And then they pick it up and take it back. Well, your intent was never there because you never stated it. Did you actually take that action if you didn't state it? By the rules, you actually did.
What's interesting to me is the same people that would say, well, I didn't state it, but I put the token there, are the same people that say, well, you put the boost token down, you put the one bank left down, so that's the action that you declared.
Right.
Now, I obviously
ultimately he never declared an action, so he's actually
just grabbed a template.
Correct. But the way that I would rule on that, people bitched about that, is did you put it between the two nubs? Yes. And that's your action. Because now you've measured.
So I just wanted to point out to people everything we discussed earlier about the rules, and we have reference pages, all of that is for the rules reference guide, which is the actual rulebook.
Yep.
The document that is called X-Wing 2nd Edition Rulebook is the rulebook for the starter set.
Yeah, it's the getting started guide.
Yeah, then they have a quick start guide.
Yeah, there's quick start rules, rulebook. The rules for the full game of X-Wing is a rules reference document.
And then there also is, unfortunately, a page on the Fantasy Flight forums which has all their rules.
Yeah, that's specific questions and stuff like that. I don't really mind that so much, but it's more that there is a 2nd edition rulebook which doesn't actually have all the rules in it. It should be.
Yes.
That's a nuisance.
Yeah.
Well, and what's weird to me is the way that the rule book reads is it follows the phases of the game.
Yeah.
So it seems like it's a very natural read. When you get the rules reference, it's literally the rules in alphabetical order.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's the keywords of the game in alphabetical order.
Right.
Absolutely. And the bad thing about the rules references is that whenever they add it or have added a new keyword, they don't add it to the rules reference. They added it to the
it goes to a rules reference now,
I'm saying in the past. So this is for past people. It didn't go to it went to the FAQ and not to the rules reference. But as Kris stated, they're supposed to be updating the rules reference now.
Well, that's why the FAQ is at the back of the rules reference now. It's all one living document.
Right. What I don't like, though, is you can't access that through the app.
Yeah, I was thinking that. Like, I really thought it was weird that there wasn't a link to either the rulebook or the rules reference in there to be able to cover that.
It shouldn't be a link. It actually should be embedded. It's not a big, you're not looking at hundreds of pages here or thousands of pages. You're looking at a pretty
29 megabytes.
Yeah, that's nothing for that app.
Well, like you guys have all run tournaments. I've done the same. Like every time you're getting ready to run a tournament, you always had a copy of the most recent FAQ with you to be able to make those rulings in case something came up. It'd be so much simpler to just, like you said, have it embedded in the app to be able to pull it up and go, nope, it's right here. And you have that.
The worst part about that came when I was at Adepticon and I literally had, the 30 pages or whatever it was with the FAQ, plus the rule book, plus the rules reference, all in one big, binder that I carried around with me.
And before they started doing the rules reference, you had to have, if you had to buy the expansions to every single expansion and have the individual rules that came in there because they weren't anywhere else until they compiled those rules into a rules reference. That was the annoying one.
Right. And I like what they've done with 2.0. They've made it simpler to play. They've made it simpler to understand. And they've made it simpler to find the answers to your questions as you go. Which, of course, that's what, 4 or 5 years of learning.
All right, Sean, I'm going to jump in. So we're an hour for this main topic now. So that makes us at a 3-hour show already. And we've still got to close out. So
good old classic one of our shows.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll go ahead and close out the main topic here, and we'll go on to close out the show right after this. All right, so that is going to end episode 16. Now there are 2 of them. I do, of course, want to thank everyone for tuning into the show. This was a little bit of a long one, but it was definitely a good one. Kris, we are going to turn it over to you, of course, because unfortunately with Chad not here, you get to take double duty, and you get to take the Facebook questions tonight.
Yay! So we had a couple of questions come in. For some reason, it says we had a question from Matthew Bundy as well, but it's not showing up. So I don't know what happened to it. So either he deleted it or it just somehow got lost in the void. So if that was a question, please feel free to shoot us a Facebook message or send an email to lackoffocuspodcast@gmail.com, and I'll make sure that one gets in. But we had...
Which one was missing?
A question from Matthew Bundy.
Given the weaker basic stat line compared to the TIE Fighter, do you think that the network calculations is enough to keep it at or near the TIE Fighter's 23 points?
Oh, you got an older archived version. So it's funny that you mentioned that. I think we sort of got into that same conversation as we were discussing it.
I don't think networked calculation is enough to keep it in line with costing of a TIE Fighter. I think it will be costed cheaper than TIE Fighters, but it won't matter because you can only have 8 ships in a squad.
And is that in the rules reference? I know you've mentioned that twice. I don't remember ever reading that specifically.
Did you read the rule book?
I did not.
So you don't remember reading it, and you also didn't read the rule book?
Well, no, I read it, but I remember I did the whole skim through to make sure to pick up the new change rules. So you're right. There is possibility that is in the main rule book that I missed. Hold on. Yeah. Now we're going to pull it out.
Squad building, page 15 of the rule book. Oh.
PDF find. Come on, guys.
Oh, PDF. I've got mine. I got the physical one right here. I like tactile. Page 15.
Okay.
I'll be damned.
See, I believe that that's to protect Fantasy Flight more than it is for the players, because if they make a mistake or something, it puts a limitation on list building. So if they accidentally push a ship out for 12 points when it should have been 30 points. There's a stop.
No, give me a second. I might be wrong here. If I am, I'll just edit it out.
Because I'm looking at squad points.
I think so. That's the rule book again. I need to look at
Correct.
the rules reference guide.
Or is it in the tournament rules reference? Because the rule book's the squad building, quick rules, and that's just quick builds. I see nothing in the main rule book that limits the amount of ships that you are permitted to play.
Okay, squad building. Yep, right here.
Squad building.
Yeah, squad building. Each player must build a squad to use in a tournament. A squad cannot exceed 200 points, though it may contain fewer than 200 points. A legal squad list contains between 2 and 8 ships from a single faction.
Where are you reading that from? Is that the rules reference?
This is the tournament regulations.
Okay, so that's where
each player must include exactly 3 unique obstacles, so on and so forth. So it's the
for tournament play, you can
for tournament play, legal squad list contains between, so you can't have more than 8 ships in your squad.
For tournament,
and you must have 2.
Yeah.
2. No more
between 2 and 8. Yeah.
It prevents that 50-point bid. Like, I'm going to build a 150-point bid ship.
Yeah.
Dash to be the ultimate dash.
Right.
So there we go, Matthew. I think that it can be cheaper because of that restriction.
Yep.
Yeah, because what they can do is, again, and we haven't seen any generic pilots that came out of those. It is possible that we might see undotted generic pilots that don't have any abilities, but you're right. They're going to be relatively cheap enough that you're going to be able to get 6 of them in a squad and a Sith Interceptor.
Yeah. Okay, so then we have Zachary Johnson. We have yet to see any legend ships in any format besides extended. Do you think this will continue?
Yes. And I think that's a strict thing with LFL.
No, so I don't think it is. I expect it to continue because I don't think we're going to be releasing any. And in fact, no. Legend. So the Z95. No, the Hawk isn't. So the only ship that is a legend ship will be the Z95, which comes out in Wave 3, and that'll be hyperspace. So,
so which movie was the Hawk in again?
So it's a Hawk in hyperspace.
Oh,
so
argument.
Right.
Okay.
It has to be canon. It has to be.
Yeah. So
it has to either have a source material, or once they put it in the game, it becomes canon.
I don't believe the Z95 is canon. I don't believe. I may be wrong, but the Z95 is in Wave 3, so one would assume.
Was it in a comic book?
I say
TV show?
I don't know.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
There's a lot of source material.
Yeah.
It could have been from one of the books that came out.
Yeah. I'm not asking, I'm stating, as in I don't know if it's been made canon, but I know it was a legend ship. It may have been, like the TIE Defender was made canon. I don't know. I don't think that it has, but I may have missed something. But so that's what I'm saying. I don't know that it. I don't think it's something malicious or like a Disney is saying no. I just think it's we've got all of this cool shit. What? Like you've had 5 years playing with your TIE Phantom. Do you not want to play with this fucking new shiny droid faction?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Personally, myself, I think it's a combination of the two. To be perfectly honest with you, I think when the game started, they had a little bit looser license with LFL. Disney bought it and said, "This is kind of the stuff."
Well, I actually think that you're correct on the licensing, but I think when the moment that Disney said Legends canon, that separated both those things. It's just like. Yeah. You know, it's just like people who went and saw Solo were pissed off because the Sabak game wasn't the way that it was described in some fucking book.
The thing that
give me a break.
The thing with it is you've got how much of it is LFL and Disney, and how much of it is FFG just going, why the fuck would we bother?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and I can accept that as a possibility. I mean,
I'll bitch on big corporations ruining everything for everybody as much as anyone you like, but real talk for a second, FFG probably just doesn't care. Like, well, we've already sold you all of these Azatuks, and the Azatuk is canon. But you know what I mean? They've already sold you all of those ships. They don't need to sell you them again.
They already sold you the TIE Phantom. They already sold you the... Well,
the Hawk.
So this is where...
The E-Wing.
I'm still kind of stressing on that. The licensing thing, because basically FFG brought a couple of things into quote-unquote Star Wars that is now canon, like the Imperial Raider, for example.
Right.
So that's what I'm saying. Why is Disney the big evil thing who said, oh yeah, fucking make that Raider, that sounds cool as fuck, but equally says, oh, whoa, you can't use this spaceship, but no one cares about it because it's just a game. I feel like a lot of people blame Disney for a lot of stuff that is just, honestly, why would we go through the hassle of that?
Right.
And I don't, and to caveat this, I don't think that it's so much that, like, we haven't yet to see any legend ships in any format besides extended. Dude, we've just had the hyperspace stuff announced. Like,
yeah.
Hyperspace is what, 5 weeks old? So, like,
right.
10 weeks old at most. Give it a chance. It's fine. Don't panic.
And we only have quote unquote 3 official waves we're really looking at that could potentially even have stuff in them.
Well, and that's the interesting thing too, is that, you know, with 2.0 and hyperspace, it seems like they're keeping it smaller. You know, they're not trying to launch a bunch of shit at us all of a sudden. You know, I think it's great. The ships, you can go in and play, you know, under the right circumstances, you can go in and play with everything that you have now. You don't even have to have gone out and bought a new ship to play in hyperspace. I mean, you can't beat that.
Then the last question, because I'm not asking Chad's. If you want to see Chad's question, you can go and look at our Facebook page.
Does it insult me? I'm sure it does.
Lack of focus on Facebook. You'll love it. So Dave Tyron says, do you think the upcoming points adjustments will be widespread across numerous ships and upgrades, or specific and targeted against certain meta list ships, upgrades, or apparent over-efficient... Sorry, I lost myself.
Over-efficient.
Apparently over-efficient lists and upgrades. Yeah, sorry. So, is it going to be just, we'll change everything across lots of different things because we can, or is it going to be focused into what's winning?
So, I would question the definition of widespread, because I firmly believe that a lot of the points that they have are accurate and correct currently. So, like, I could easily see 85% of the ships in
given level of a lot.
Right. Well, I'm trying to define that.
Yeah.
You're interrupting the definition. So I genuinely believe that about anywhere between 70 to 80% of the stuff that's in the game currently will not change. That they believe that they are correctly pointed, and that's fine. The 20%, though, that I feel that are going to change, I feel are going to span both hyperspace and extended.
That's the question I see a lot. Yeah. So I'll answer Dave's question, and if Sean, do you want to chime in first, and then I'll...
Well, I think what matters the most to Fantasy Flight, right? Well, we're going into hyperspace, rules of hyperspace, ships of hyperspace. I could see it being where it's only the ships that, like you said, Ed, that cross over from hyperspace into extended. Because in my personal opinion, why are you wasting time on something that doesn't exist in the play system that you're putting forth? Now, prior to a system open, so if the system open is an extended format, I don't know what it is. Actually.
It is extended. System opens are extended format.
So the first one of that's coming up in like April. So if you're gonna affect the whole thing, then you affect that at that time. But right now you're going into hyperspace trials.
They're both running simultaneously. So
I know that they do. I know they do.
I'll come in and just wrap that bit up, I think. So I know what you're saying, and my point directly addresses it. So for David's question, I think you do have to break it down. What you two naturally did was the breakdown of hyperspace and extended.
Yep.
I feel like because people are going on about the chain, will they just focus on only fixed hyperspace? Well, I think hyperspace is actually pretty tight. So I think that in hyperspace you'll have extremely targeted changes to specific lists, upgrades that are in efficient lists. In extended, I feel like you'll have more widespread changes where, we're not seeing a lot of people flying I don't know. Yeah. So maybe we'll bring that down a little bit. These, like, I think we spoke about it when we spoke about Palpatine last week. We're not seeing people take a lot of the Force user crew. Maybe we pointed all of those. We'll bring all of them down. All Force user crew can get a discount. So in extended, I think it'll be more widespread. In hyperspace, I think it'll be more targeted. So across the entirety of X-Wing, it'll be quite widespread. Because hyperspace stuff is still legal and extended, so it'll be widespread, but the hyperspace stuff will be more targeted because I think that it's actually pretty well balanced as is anyway.
Yeah, I agree with that statement.
That's all of our questions. Okay, why is that a tool? Okay, so that was Chad's question. Sorry.
Spoiler alert.
Then I've got to come on to arrested Chad stuff of give me money on Patreon. Apparently, Chad says it a lot better than I do.
Help the guy out. He's doing a great job.
So the Patreon really does help. It covers the costs of the it's about $3 or $4 short every month of covering the cost of the editing software. So we still cover the cost of the hosting for the podcast and all the other stuff. Yet we're not quite self-sustaining, but that's fine. Don't worry about it. All of the free stuff that we give away also isn't free. So we try and take some cuts for that as well. So we do really appreciate it. The thing with the Patreon is I don't want you to feel obliged to do it. If you do, it's awesome and we really appreciate it. We try and give stuff back. But if you go to our Patreon, it's not one of these X-Wing Patrons where I I'm not going to bribe you with swag and giveaways all the time. We'll do it and you will get stuff. You will not get your money's worth because, you will. I think Peter won, is it Ronny? Won both our draws that we did.
Right.
So he's getting his money's worth, but that's by the by. But I've got 6 sets of the lack of focus tokens left. We have some lack of target lock tokens being developed for 2019. So I will be sending this batch out. If you want the lack of focus tokens, you need to sign up pretty quickly because I think there's only 1 unaccounted for. But you'll still get something. I cover costs of shipping ourselves. That comes out of our pockets, so it's all good. But I'm not going to try and blackmail you with alt art cards and tokens and everything. It's just something we do because it's funny. It's not really part of the Patreon per se. You give us that out of the goodness of your heart, and that's why we appreciate it so much. If I ever feel like I'm bribing you to back the Patreon, I probably will just stop it because it's not supposed to be making us money. It's supposed to help us out so that it doesn't cost as much money, which is why we do like the charity giveaway and stuff like that.
Exactly.
Rant over. Speaking of our Patreon, if you do go to patreon.com, you really should, because we do random giveaways. So So the latest one was I found some more X-Wing swag from the old days. So I'm giving away a 2014 Range 3 ruler. And all you had to do was not even be a Patreon. You just had to comment on the post. And only 4 people saw it because I didn't share it anywhere. It was just for people who randomly checked. So I'm going to do a random.org between 1 and 4. And we have number 1, which is Michael. Michael Do. I'm not seeing how to enter my shipping address for free stuff on Patreon. It normally confesses up as information to fill out under pledge details. Yeah, so everyone who commented on the free stuff thing were just commenting that I'd messed up the Patreon and hadn't actually asked for shipping addresses because I wasn't trying to bribe people with stuff. Because so yeah, so thanks, Michael. That comment has won you a 2014 Star Championship Range Ruler.
Woohoo! I was just looking at mine.
Yeah, we'll get them sent in. I'll get it packed up and sent away. I dispatched the Mining Guild tie we gave away before Christmas.
Oh, that's awesome.
We were chatting about this off air. I think it was saying that any prizing that I win, I'm probably just going to throw in for giveaways and stuff like this. I've got a big pile of bomb tokens, and I've got 2 spring 2015 ones, and I've got 1 more 2014 one, and we'll keep giving stuff away, but it won't necessarily be to Patreons. You just have to be on Patreon to see it, and there'll be limited times. So make sure you go in there, checking it out. We have lots of free content available, and you get early access to as much stuff as I can. The early access to this one will be less valuable because we're recording on Sunday, so I've only got 1 day to edit it and get it out before our Tuesday
Chris.
deadline. But yeah, that is it. Thanks, Michael. You will get that as soon as I can send it and confirm your address.
Well, thank you for doing all you do for the show, Chris. I really appreciate it.
Okay, and thanks to Galaxy Gaming Gear, who are working on our lack of target lock tokens.
Oh, can't wait. Sean, always good to talk to you, my friend. It was good to see you on camera today.
Yeah. Thank my son for that. He gave me his, so I have a good working camera, and I don't know what the problem was on it. Just my computer, I guess.
It was an older one I sent you. I'd had it for a while.
Okay.
So it was probably firmware problems or something. Because you've got a new build, haven't you? So.
Oh yeah. It's really new.
Yeah.
It's about 1 year old now. So.
Well, of course, I'd like to thank everyone for joining us for the show. I did want to take one quick note and say a quick shout out to the folks that participated in the Outrider Cup. If I'm not mistaken, the team from Tennessee won that. It's an event that Ryan Fleming and the guys from the Pittsburgh group kind of started with the West Virginia group and the Greensboro group. And then, of course, we eventually started adding groups from Columbus, and then Chicago came in, and then Tennessee. Like, there's so many teams that are added into it. I don't know if Morgantown was in on this one recently. I know obviously Early Trobone wasn't in it, but I do want to shoot over a quick shout out to the Gold Squadron podcast.
Dion did the streaming, yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. Love those guys. They did a fantastic job. And they have all those games up on, at least the games that they streamed, up on their YouTube channel. So I sat down and watched some of my old friends playing some X-Wing. That was a lot of fun. So that was absolutely fantastic. So
before you, I forgot to thank our new patrons. We did actually get a couple of new people sign up. And I always like to thank them personally. So thanks, William and Tristan. Tommy is relatively new. I probably said you already, though. And Michael is relatively new. And again, thanks to DiceHate, Ed, Jerry.
Mediocre podcast.
Yeah, Sean. You're all awesome as well. Peter, Ronny, and everyone. All of the patrons are awesome. We're in double digits now. We've got 10. There's 10 of you. Ooh. We're building a variable army. So thank you kindly. We're over halfway there to saving everybody money as well. I said, once we get to $50 an episode, we'll only charge every other episode. So we're over halfway there.
Can't wait. Sean, you get to be on all those lists. You're the sole possessor of the only name on my Patreon little thing at the end of my YouTube channels for my Magic stuff. Sean's the only name on the list right now. He's got the sole possession of that one.
Hey, so I start somewhere, and if you start doing giveaways, hey, I'll be getting everything. So
yeah, you will. All right, so that's going to end a rather long episode. It wouldn't be our show if we didn't run long. So thank everyone for joining us once again. We will see you in 2 weeks, where we will be diving into the points changes and see how crazy this game's going to get and what changed the most. I'm looking forward to that one a lot. So until next time, guys, thank you so much. And as always, fly casual. Thank you once again for joining the Lack of Focus X-Wing podcast. Check out DiceHate Productions for all of the latest episodes, and we'll be looking forward to seeing you again next episode.